Okay, so imagine you're sitting at a massive mixing board in a recording studio. Um, every slider represents a different underlying dynamic in your relationship or, your team.
Right, like stress levels or personal values.
Exactly. Communication styles, too.
Hmm.
But normally, those sliders are just totally invisible. You're left guessing why the music sounds slightly out of tune.
Yeah.
Well, today we are diving into an informational guide on something called the Soulvran system.
Hmm.
And our mission for this deep dive is to figure out exactly how this invisible mixing board actually works.
Yeah, and that invisible mixing board is what the guide actually calls a digital reflection and resonance system, which I know sounds super corporate, but if we strip that jargon away, it's essentially a shared digital mirror.
Shared mirror. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, instead of tracking your individual metrics like, a daily step counter or a personal budget, you and your partner or your team are inputting data to visualize the complex space between you.
Right, because the guide builds this whole thing on a philosophy called the we, one complex whole. It's basically treating human connection like a chemical reaction.
Well, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, you drop two distinct elements into a beaker and they interact, right? They form an entirely new compound. So you can't just study the individual elements in isolation anymore to figure out what's going on.
Exactly. And to measure that new compound, the Soulvran system has users assess themselves across 10 different life domains. It's not just a simple mood tracker asking if you feel happy on a Tuesday.
Right, goes way deeper than that.
It really does. It digs into the structural integrity of the relationship. It's measuring variables like your level of authenticity or what they call adaptation pressure.
Adaptation pressure, which is basically measuring how much you are twisting yourself out of shape just to keep the peace or
Okay.
fit into a company culture.
Yeah, exactly that.
But wait, here is where it gets really interesting to me, but also a bit risky. If a team is logging into a dashboard and flagging high adaptation pressure, doesn't this just become a high-tech weapon for pointing fingers?
Oh, you mean like using the data to blame someone else?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like if I'm stressed, I can just point to the app and say, well, look, the data proves my manager is suffocating me. It seems like it could devolve into a massive blame game.
Well, that is definitely the vulnerability of most relationship tools. They accidentally weaponize the data. But Soulvran bypasses that trap by mapping conflicts against 4 specific causal factors. It actively removes the blame.
Okay, so it deliberately avoids looking for a villain.
Exactly. Instead of the app saying you are at fault, it weighs your personal responsibility against 3 other things: the influence of others, your recurring relationship patterns, and external circumstances.
Oh, wow. Okay. So how does that actually look in the real world? Like for a couple using it?
Let's ground this in reality. Say you and your partner are constantly snapping at each other over doing the dishes. A normal argument just blames the other person's laziness.
Oh, yeah, I've definitely been there.
We all have. But Solvran's framework steps back. It looks at personal responsibility, so sure, maybe someone actually is leaving dishes in the sink. But it also layers in external circumstances.
One of you just starting a grueling new job or something.
Yes, exactly. Alongside historical patterns, like maybe you have a long-standing habit of never setting clear household chores in the first place.
So it spreads the tension across a whole ecosystem. The dirty dishes aren't a personal failing anymore.
Right.
They're just a symptom of a new job schedule colliding with a bad communication habit we've had for 5 years. That makes so much sense.
And once the app maps that ecosystem out, it takes all the defensive posturing out of the room. It identifies those specific tension points and generates meaningful, neutral conversation prompts.
Oh, so it literally moves you from, you never do the dishes, to something like, how do we adjust our habits to handle this external work stress?
You got it. It shifts the power dynamic completely and fosters dialogue on a really equal footing.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
And this applies to a wide variety of groups, right? Whether you're in a blended family trying to merge 2 different household cultures, or a corporate team facing a massive deadline.
Oh, absolutely. Because you're all looking at the exact same objective data. It levels the playing field for everyone involved.
So the ultimate goal of mapping all these 10 domains and 4 conflict factors isn't to give a manager or a spouse leverage over you. It's to foster sustainable transformation just by making the invisible visible.
Right. It is all about creating awareness, not control, understanding your mutual resonance and growing together.
Because you finally brought everyone's shared reality into the light. That is incredibly powerful. But, it leaves me wondering something we didn't really see in the guide.
Oh, what's that?
Well, we've looked at this as a way to untangle established, messy relationships. But imagine having the system turned on from the very beginning. If you were hyper-aware of your own adaptation pressure in your default relationship patterns from day one, how differently would you approach that very first conversation with a brand new partner or colleague?